I'm broke,
And I'm poor.
and we learn the money game through this book right here, The Psychology of Money.
Each day we make economical decisions. We should be making them after weighing the pros and cons for each action.
Each choice should be made to better our future, which is why we have to be aware of and understand our economic behavior.
We make these choices based off of cognitive bias, perspective, just things like what we see in the world.
Yeah, some of us make our decisions based off of where we come from and what we've been through. But some of us, we make some wacky decisions.
Are you crazy?
Me? No, of course not.
Oh. Hey, you okay, buddy?
I'm not crazy. No one's crazy. Which is the first chapter of Psychology of Money.
So, in chapter 1 of Psychology of Money, it basically talks about how, in the grand scheme of things, all of our choices are different from one another. And how, basically, depending on the person, we may have different experiences that may not seem crazy to me, but seems perfectly unreasonable to them, and vice versa.
One great example of this comes from the book, which talks about how Chinese workers were saying that sweatshops aren't bad compared to having to work on the streets, which is honestly true, but compared to the life we live in America.
Exactly. We judge others based on the situation they're living in without really knowing exactly what it's like. So that's what I really like about this chapter, really, because it goes into great detail talking about how everyone has their own financial experiences.
I dislike a few things about chapter 1, mainly the fact that our actions isn't the full impact of what we do, because a lot of things chalk up more than what we just think and what we do. Chapter 2 talks about one of the most important aspects of anything we do, fate. A good part of this chapter talks about luck and how luck plays a key role in everything we do, from gambling to stocks to buying something from the store to even crossing the street.
On the other hand, chapter 2 also talks about risk, which is the downfall of all things luck. Greatest example from the book is Bill Gates' friend, Kent, who, even though could be as successful as his friend, ended up dying on a hiking trick.
Well, I have a few problems with chapters because, well, I mean, leaving everything up to chance just seems unfair, doesn't it? Why even try?
I really like this chapter though, because no matter what you do, there's always a small chance it's gonna succeed. Or fail.
Okay, now moving on to the next chapter. This is something I can get behind. Little does he know, I'm worth double what he is. So, chapter 9 of Psychology of Money basically talks about wealth versus being rich, and how being wealthy is basically being able to provide for yourself and your needs without having to work a day, versus being rich. Now, being rich is basically working a job, which makes you a lot of money, basically, and you have a very expensive lifestyle, but you have to work to provide for yourself. So one example I got from the book is basically working out is like being rich. Now, when you're working out, you have the big muscle, but you also decide to have a cheat day, which resets your progress. Whereas wealth is deciding to skip the cheat day to retain muscle.
I really like the concept of being wealthy, especially because the next chapter is all about staying wealthy and doing what you want. The highest form of wealth is being able to wake up in the morning and just decide, I don't want to do anything today but relax. Anything you want. The book says it best. More than a house, more than money, the thing that'll make you happiest in life is control over anything you want. Like the book says, again, choosing where you want to go, when you want to go, who you want to go with, those are all things to keep us happy. Keeps me happy, keeps him happy, keeps my mom happy.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. This chapter kind of hits it on the head, man. Like, people want control over their life. Ain't that right, Zion? Ain't that right, Zion? Ain't that right, Zion? Huh. You'll believe anything. That is chapter 18 of Psychology of Money, and basically what this chapter talks about how is in finance, when things don't exactly go your way, you'll be willing to believe anything can happen, even if it's really not true. And one example from the book the author gives us is that this man whose son is dying is basically taken to a traditional healer where he is poked by a hot stick. Now, no rational person would ever believe that that's true or that happens, but when you're desperate, I guess you just start to believe anything is real, especially in finance, which So yeah, I guess just some like closing statements on this chapter is, I guess, like, basically, when you're in dire straits, you'll believe anything, even if it's not real. It's not really there. So, thank you, everyone. Let's see.
Surprise! Well, chapter 12 tries to warn us that life doesn't always go the way we expect. Things happen. Things unforeseen. A great quote from the book itself says, "Things that have never happened before happen all the time." This is another case. I mean, who thought you go from chapter 18 all the way back here?
Yeah, threw you guys for a loop, didn't we? Yeah.
But as much as I love how the chapter tries to warn you that things aren't going to go as you expect, luck and risk will always affect not only you but everyone around you, and everything is just almost unpredictable. It tries to deter you from using history as an example. While that's true for predicting the future, it's not true for when you need help, because a lot of times something that's similar to your problem may have happened before, and history is a great way to see how you may be able to overcome your problem.
Now, what I like about this chapter is that it actually manages to, again, tie back to the previous chapters, like luck and risk, and how your examples aren't exactly the same as others. So yeah, I just think that's really neat how the author manages to tie all the chapters together.
All in all, I really enjoyed this book. I took a good number of takeaways. Like, this is not a book about paper. Money is like barely a thing mentioned. It's not about the object. It's about your thoughts and your actions.
Yeah, that's very well said. For me personally, my biggest takeaway was that in finance, your choices do matter. You're not crazy. Nothing you say is crazy, because in the grand scheme of things, the choices we make are just like one small iota of the grand finance scheme, right? So do what you have to.
I mean, two concepts I like really apply to my life every day is definitely luck and risk. The way that surprise, unknown variables, things just happen all the time. You can't predict that. You just have to roll with it and be able to continue. And the goal of freedom, like being able to do whatever you want, whenever you want, it just sounds very appealing, especially to me.
Yeah. For me personally, how I'm going to try to apply this to my life is I want to, like how Chapter 9 states, I want to become wealthy. I don't want to have to be the guy who's always flaunting his money. I just want to sit on my wealth and enjoy my life. So, yeah.
Some people find that crazy.
Yeah.
Insane.
Anyways, thank you guys so much. And
See you next time.